Life after addiction is as important as the recovery itself. Helping get people back in the workforce is key. We're joined now by Jacqueline Pitts with the Kentucky Chamber of Commerce. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Sam.
Last year, the Chamber launched its Kentucky Comeback Initiative. Tell us about the program and how it helps people who have been struggling with substance abuse get well.
Absolutely. So the Kentucky Chamber has been working on Kentucky Comeback, which has been really an effort to break down the stigma around substance use disorder. That's out of our foundation at the Kentucky Chamber. And you know, this is not an issue that people think business community and then substance use disorder. It's not an issue that typically people would think we would get involved in. But when you think about it, this is really a workforce issue and it's a community issue. This affects literally everyone in our state. So we've been involved. We've been trying to break down the stigma on that site. We're trying to help employers with their policies around substance use disorder, go into their employment centers, train them on policies, as well as post jobs and all kinds of things, as well as do a whole campaign trying to break down the stigma, getting out the word about all of the good work people like ARC are doing and all of the other centers around the state, because a lot of people I don't think know where to start when they're struggling, and so we're trying to break down that stigma and get that information out there.
You mentioned the workforce and jobs. What's available? What's out there for these folks?
So we actually started something called Who's Hiring in 2020 as well. Especially with the pandemic, there's been a lot of jobs, a lot more than people think. We've posted 19,000 jobs so far that are fair chance jobs. So those are employers that are willing and ready to hire people who are in recovery, who are struggling with substance use disorder. So those are jobs across the state, and we are posting those every single week, and that's available on KentuckyComeback.com as well, because there are a lot. We know employment is such a key part of recovery, and so we want to help push that out, and we're trying to get the word out there about that as well.
You have a transformational program as well.
Yes, so that actually launches next week.
Okay.
The legislature passed Senate Bill 191 in the 2021 session. And so we're going to launch the Kentucky Transformational Employment Program with partners like the Office of Drug Control Policy, CHFS, and a couple of others through our foundation to really bridge that gap between employment and recovery. It'll give employers a framework so that they can help their current employees and potential new employees go through recovery programs who are struggling with substance use disorder to really get what they need. And that's going to be critical for retaining workforce, because we've always struggled in Kentucky with our workforce participation rate. We're currently 48th in the nation, and employers across the country lose $81 billion annually because of lost work, productivity, people not coming to work, and turnover because of substance use disorder. So this is critical to helping retain our workforce and helping people move forward.
And your information's right there on the website?
Yes, so KentuckyComeback.com, that program will be up there next week as well.
Jacqueline Pitts with the Kentucky Chamber of Commerce. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
The Madison County Detention Center detains about 5,600 people a year. Many of the people there find themselves on the inside because of drugs and addiction. But an unlikely pair has teamed up to bring hope to a place where many think it's not possible.
203's at 19.
It is a place where a lot of people assume hope goes to die. Inside the Madison County Detention Center, the stories are gritty.
Thugging, drugging, stealing, robbing, cheating, manipulating, the whole 9 yards.
Real.
I should be dead or in prison.
And for many, hit close to home.
I am a stone cold junkie.
The true reality is this.
At least 80% of every person we book is either an addict or high, selling, dealing, or have something to do with drugs.
I'm a drug addict. When I drink a beer, I want a needle.
For Madison County Jailer Steve Tussey, he isn't just the guy who puts people behind bars.
Today I have people says, okay, you can come in, you have access to my jail.
He's a guy that realizes many here need hope. Who better to give it but those who lived it?
See, people that's not like us don't know why we do what we do.
It's not often he has people begging to get back on the inside.
I don't do what I do for the money. I do what I do to feel my heart. Started drugs at 21, 2 blocks from here. I started drinking 2 blocks from here.
It wasn't that long ago that Mike St. John was here. His story is one he recognizes in the eyes of the guys he faces each week.
Just cause you went to jail here, I don't care what you've done to get here. That is none of my business. What I do care is what you're going to do when that door pops.
Strung out, addicted, and homeless, when the door finally popped for St. John, he had hit rock bottom. It's a place he knows many can relate to.
We all know how to steal. We all know how to cheat. We all know how to manipulate. We know how to rob. We can cut dope, make dope, sell dope, whatever. I want to know how to live.
Sober for 5 years, addiction recovery worked, and he's now back on the inside, showing guys just like him there is a life waiting for them on the outside.
Recovery is possible. What are you willing to do?
What started as a Facebook Live to keep people in recovery connected during the pandemic has led to this.
Who's got a problem with drugs? Who's got a problem with alcohol?
Being granted access to the jail, speaking weekly, pushing not dope these days, but rather hope.
But here's the thing, it's got to take your mess and make it his message, period.
And he's not alone.
Do you understand me? Like it is, look, tough times don't last, tough people do, man.
Bradley Hatton was also a regular here.
DOC saved my life.
He's been sober 3 years, and now he's back, connecting in a much different way.
When we actually come into the jail the first time, us three, I actually asked if we could bring one of the guys out of the hole so we could go in and pray, because that's where I spent a lot of my time here in the hole for bad behavior.
It may not be a conventional approach to ending the drug problem.
They Narcan me twice. I come to a UK hospital.
But jailer Steve Tussey, who looks on when Mike and Bradley speak, sees the direct impact and says, why not?
I see the lights come on, truly. When you look in their eyes, tears are flowing. You know, they opened their hearts, they opened their minds. They're sitting in the cell right now thinking about what these two guys just told them.
I love it, man. He ain't supposed to be alive.
Huh?
He ain't supposed to be alive right now. Been up there with me.
The goal here is simple.
That's why we do what we do, bro.
To change lives.
I love you.
Come back next
I
Thursday.
can do it. You know you can. Shorty, you know you can do this.
I care about you. I don't want you to come back to this damn jail. This jail is not the end of the road.
The wall here simply reads Road to Recovery. It's one Mike St. John got on.
This was my dream and a mission and a purpose to come here and do this, and God's allowed that to happen. Be here next Thursday.
And now he's working to make sure that anyone else who wants to get on that same road knows how to do so.
Love you, man. Love you. Hey, when you go back to your cell, ask God for guidance and strength. He's done guided the path. Get on it. Ride. Love you, man.
It tears me up.
The Madison County Detention Center has partnered with Voices of Hope and the University of Kentucky's Healing Community Study to take the work being done inside the jail a step further. The grant helps fund a peer support specialist full-time in the jail. Joining us tonight is Dr. Carrie Oser. She's a co-investigator of UK's Healing Community Study, and peer support specialist Lucas Todd. Thanks so much for being here with us. Talk to me about this study. We're always trying to learn more about addiction and what it does in our communities. What do you hope to do with this study?
So the Healing Community Study is the largest federal grant that University of Kentucky has ever received, and our overall goal is to reduce opioid overdose deaths. So we're working with community coalitions who are the most knowledgeable about the needs in their communities, and they're developing data-driven response plans about which sort of evidence-based practices would work best in which community agencies.
How important is it that we look at that kind of work to see what needs to be done next?
I think that our local community agencies know what their needs are in their communities and where we could have the most impact, and how we could partner with agencies such as jails, emergency departments, as well as behavioral health care providers in their communities.
Lucas, I learned about you from doing this story inside the Madison County Detention Center. Talk to me about your work as a peer support specialist. How did you find your way to this role, and what do you do inside the jail there?
So the main thing I do as a peer support specialist is I offer support to people as they begin their recovery journey. And this can look like a lot of different things. Resources for housing, transportation resources, sometimes even food. So basically what I do is I just support the person in any which way I can. and to make sure that their recovery goes as smoothly as possible.
Many times when people are in jail, when they are released, that is the critical hour, right? Because they have been away from whatever they were addicted to, and they can easily overdose. How do we stop that from happening when they leave that jail and walk out on the other side?
I think that's a great question. We have a toolkit of evidence-based practices to pull from. So making sure that everybody who walks out of the jail has overdose education and a naloxone unit so they can respond to an overdose event. And then number two, making sure that people have access to the 3 FDA-approved medications for the treatment of opioid use disorder is really important.
Lucas, what do you see from your work? Because you are right there in the thick of it with these folks who hopefully are going to maybe get out soon. What do you see your work doing for them?
So a lot of these people inside the jail, they want to go to treatment facilities. So we're seeing more and more people now going to treatment. And ideally, we'd like to see more and more peer supports in jails throughout the whole state. And ideally more of like a substance abuse program as well to follow through with it. And we've actually partnered with the Madison County Public Defender's Office, and we work with the alternative sentencing worker to find residential treatment facilities for anybody who wants.
What do you hear personally from the people that you work with that maybe have been able to do their time and get out, and you've been able to help them?
Well, since it's so new, I haven't actually spoken to anybody who's completed treatment, but you know,
we're working towards it, right?
Yeah, we're working towards it.
Is that the hope then, with the last few seconds that we have, that a grant like this will make sure that people like Lucas can now be across the state in jails everywhere?
So we have a template to roll out, a model to roll out in other facilities.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both for your time and the work that you're doing to help us in the next step.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, a former police officer says people he arrested have now changed his mission, how he's helping get people into recovery. And if you need help tonight, we have information right now for you on WKYT.com.